And good day, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to this probably very short little stream that I decided to do. Before I move on, anyone in the chat, can you hear me? Is my stream working properly? If someone could let me know, I'd be most grateful. Boom, 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 boom. Craig, 55, thank you very much, mate. Glad to hear it's working. As always, I'm going to, as almost always, I'm going to start us off with a tune. So there we go. Hey, that was Epping Forest from Patriotic Archive, which is the channel I recommend to everyone. Go and check him out. He's got some really good military and nationalist tunes, not just from Great Britain, but also from all around the world. So go and check him out. Look, I wasn't going to do this stream, but it so happened that I was on Minds, I think. And weirdly enough, I have over 4,000 subscribers on Minds, far more than I have on YouTube. But I saw this article, and the article I saw was this one. So let me share it. There we go. Yeah, that one. And as you can see, British paratroopers barracks orgy video surfaces, hundreds get banned from NATO deployment. And, you know, as people know, I'm a former British soldier, a long time ago, by the way. I joined the British Army almost 40 years ago. But anyway, yeah, as Craig says in the chat, NATO's lost, absolutely true. But let's have a little look at this article. Because one of the things that is true of it is that the article itself is bullshit. Because what the article actually says is that while the police cleared the troops of any criminal misconduct, Sanders, who is some twat who's heading the British Army at the moment, said the incident did not align with the Army's values and could be seen as denigrating women. Look, the woman was plainly a stripper, straight prostitute. Okay, that was the only sort of woman she was, and nobody did anything bad to her. The woman visited the barracks 8 times, and there was no crime at all during all of those 8 visits. And the whole of the 8 visits involved a whole 8 members of the parachute regiment. Okay. Now, soldiers have always enjoyed strip shows and the like. They just always have. I'm sorry. They have. You may not like that, but that's the truth. They have. We pay these dudes to kill our enemies at risk of their own life. We don't pay them to become some sort of saintly Christians. We don't. I'm sorry. And everything I've read about this and why it was in an American military journal in the first place, I don't even know. But except for the fact the Americans are even more pos than the Brits are these days, in terms of men should be women and women should be men. And by the way, Susan might be listening to this. Let me absolutely explain. As far as I'm concerned, the more men who become women and the more women who become men, the better the world will be, Susan. All right? So don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean, Rudyard Kipling, about 130 years ago, said, single men in barracks don't go into past the saints. And they don't, because we pay them to kill our enemies at the risk of their own life. We don't pay them to become soy boys. Now, I'm going to give you a specific instance. When I joined the British Army, like almost 40 years ago now, when we came back from my first tour in Northern Ireland, we were given a strip shirt, my company. It was organized by the senior NCOs with the absolute permission of the company officers, who also attended, by the way. And I think there were, I'm trying to remember now, it was like probably 3 girls. And one of the girls covered her breasts in cream, whipped cream from a tin. And some of the blokes, and that did not include me, by the way, in this instance, although had it done, I would have said so, licked it off. And there were enormous cheers from all of us, and there were loads of ribald comments and everything you would expect in that situation. And the stripper girls, who had been very well paid to start with, were enormously, and particularly that one, were enormously tipped by the soldiers. Like, I reckon that girl went home that evening with like probably 3 months British Army money, pretty much, or close to it. She wasn't harmed in the least degree. And it was just a load of young men letting off steam. And on that particular tour, we had lost 2 blokes killed by the vile Marxist scumbags that were the Provisional IRA. And hardly any of us had managed to get off 2 or 3 rounds against them. And it was just blokes letting off steam. It's all it was. But somehow these days, that's disgusting. But at the same time as this is a story and this is my real point with this dream. Our children at school, our little children, like 5, 6, 7 years old, certainly by the time they're 10, are being indoctrinated by pedophiles that somehow or another they should change sex. And they're being told about sex way before they're 10. And children don't need to know that stuff. Children are innocent, all right? They don't need to know that shit. And people who tell them that shit are pedophiles, and that's the only way to describe them. And then they're telling, boys they should become girls, and girls they should become boys. And really, they're more telling boys they should become girls, by the way. But yeah, but that somehow is perfectly acceptable. And the British government have put out stuff recently that even big-time boomers like Godfrey Bloom, go and look up Godfrey Bloom on YouTube. And even he is now calling it the sinister agenda now at your child's school, where they are trying to teach little girls of under 10 about homosexuality and sex changes and all this kind of stuff. But that's perfectly acceptable. Let's just carry on doing that shit. But now, British soldiers having a stripper in their barracks, my God, that's disgusting. Now, if any of you people who are watching this are so dumb or dim that you can't see what's going on here, because the left are coming after your kids and they want to make them gay. But if you can't see that, while at the same time you think, yeah, let's go after British paratroopers because they were having an orgy, which they weren't. It was strippers in their barracks, and it was 8 blokes, not hundreds. And even if it was hundreds, who gives a shit? If you can't see the difference between those two things, there is something really, really wrong with you and your intelligence. And that was the main reason I decided I would do this stream. Just to point it out. John Comenos in the chat. Yeah, all right. I've seen you before, mate, and I know you're an okay bloke. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. Craig 55 in the chat. 4-year-olds in Scotland can change genders without parents' consent. Like, that is just ridiculous. Do we let 4-year-olds drive cars? I don't think we do. Why? Because 4-year-olds can't drive cars, but they can change their sex. It's ridiculous. And as John Comenos says, it's evil and disgusting. And if we don't stop this, I don't know what we do, guys. I just don't. It has to be stopped. And I asked people to come on this stream, and apparently coming on a stream these days is like, it's the equivalent to like walking forward into German machine gun and artillery fire on the first day of the Somme, because people are not willing to do it for the most part. But I don't know why, because it ain't that hard. It's just talking. But yeah, this needed bringing up. As far as I'm concerned, the British paratroopers didn't have an orgy. They had some strippers or prostitutes. Is there much difference, really, in their barracks? And they were well paid. And even the cops turned around and said there was no crime involved. So why does this become a thing on American military news? I just don't understand, to be honest. Written by a chick, by the way, you may know. But I don't understand why it is. And why is it that adult male soldiers can't have strippers? Because that's evil and denigrating to women. But we can have little toddlers being taught about gay sex. You know, somebody has mixed things up somewhere, have they not? Or am I just being an old-fashioned idiot? I don't think I am, but you know. So yeah, I don't know, guys. The other reason I did this stream is I would like to point out to people. No, Bengal, there was no orgy. It was like it was a stripper or something, you know, and it involved the whole 8 blokes. And even the cops turned around and said, Bengal, that there was nothing criminal happened. So the chick got paid, you know, probably pretty well if I know anything about the army. But yeah, but the other reason I did this stream was to point out to people that we are now on Odyssey, which took me a while to do. But eventually, with the help of the people from Odyssey, I sorted it out. And I shall put the link in the chat in a moment. Wow. Sorry, I'm being boomerish at the moment. Okay, so the Odyssey link for this YouTube channel, because as I told some people last week, I lost a stream the other week for hate speech, in inverted commas. Don't know what it was. Couldn't work out what the hell I said, but apparently I said something that was hate speech to the lefties who run YouTube. So I thought, okay. So in just in case we get deleted, we do now have an Odyssey stream, an Odyssey channel, and it's the one I just put in the chat. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, non-story. It's always a non-story. But the commander of the British Army decided he would say, might disrespect women. Well, whatever. I don't know. Look, there are vastly too many women in the British Armed Forces. Vastly too many. Most of whom can't do their jobs properly and shouldn't be there. But, you know, that's just me. I would also point out that if the British Army was fighting, let's say, Russia at the moment, if it had the same casualties as Ukraine is having, and Ukraine's losing that war really badly, very obviously now, to anyone with the least degree of common sense, who's not just watching the Western MSM. If the British troops were facing the same sort of casualties as the Ukrainians, the British Army would be totally destroyed, gone, and dead, wounded, or captured within 5 months at most. And yet somehow Boris Johnson, Alexander Johnson, continues to send weapons to Ukraine when British warships go to sea with no surface-to-surface missiles, which would mean they would be sunk by any near-peer enemy long before their 4.5-inch gun would be in range. But I mean, obviously, you know, who cares about the Brits? When, you know, look, Alexander Johnson desperately cares about Ukraine's borders, but for some reason doesn't give a shit about British borders. He brought in almost 1 million immigrants last year and has no interest in stopping the thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants who cross the channel. No interest in any of that, but Ukraine, yeah, he desperately cares about Ukraine. I don't know, boys, but I won't be voting for Boris Johnson in the next election. I didn't vote Alexander Johnson in to bring in 1 million third world immigrants in 2021, 2022. When most of us, by the way, most British people, were locked in their homes for most of the year. Didn't stop Alexander Johnson bringing a million immigrants. Like a town the size of Liverpool or something. 1 year. The largest number of immigrants ever brought into Britain in the entire history of Britain by a so-called, in inverted commas, conservative government. That's just the truth, gents. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, as I said, this was always going to be a pretty short stream. British Army didn't do anything wrong. They just had a stripper in their barracks. Big deal. Even if it was a prostitute, big deal. Single men in barracks don't grow into past estates. We pay them to kill our enemies at risk of their own life. We don't pay them to be soy boys. But I'm just sick of all of this nonsense, to be honest with you. If you're a conservative, if you're right of centre, you have to stop voting for the Conservative Party because they don't conserve anything. They're not right of centre. Alexander Johnson is actually pretty far left, in my opinion. I mean, just look at the net zero stuff. Britain is heading into 20% inflation. I mean, the Bank of England recently admitted to 12% inflation, and I actually think they're about 3%. They're lying about 3%. Yeah, they do. They conserve gay rights. Absolutely. And whilst I think gay people deserve every right they get, you know, none of us straight white blokes do, of course. We don't deserve anything except being destroyed because of our toxic masculinity. Right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Britain's heading in towards 20% inflation. And that might be a good thing because it might actually change things. A lot of normies woke up last year, year before, with the lockdowns. The British public have always been against mass immigration. Always. Like going back to Enoch Powell's time, Enoch Powell was overwhelmingly supported by most British ordinary people. You know, 20% inflation, food shortages, which are going to cause riots in British cities where white Anglo-Celtic people are a minority. It's just going to cause riots because that's what those dudes do. On top of that, power cuts in the winter and all the rest of it. We have our best chance on the real right. And I'm not far right in the sense I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi LARPer. Don't even like Mark Collette of PA. Don't like him at all. I think he does PA more harm than good. But us on the real right, like real Anglo-Celtic nationalists, we have our best chance of getting somewhere over the next year or two. And let's hope we all work at doing that. But anyway, on that note, don't forget to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and do go and subscribe to our new Odyssey channel. And you can find I'll put the link for that in the description in due course. And on that note, I'm going to play us out the tune. Mm-hmm.
You cricketing men, both young and old, whether you bat or whether you bowl, ponder a while on all you owe to the Wealden men of long ago. When Cromwell in those troubled times said bat and ball were aids to crime, let them be burnt was the command, and the Wealden men were cursed and damned. Unshaven turf, full swept and rolled, we score our runs and neatly bowl, but on flinty chalk and stubbled clay, those Wealden men first learned to play. We well applaud those mighty hits that clear the boundary rope for six. Likewise for the catch we loudly cheer, as those Wealden men did of yesteryear. Aye, we loudly clap when the 50 scored, and when 100 shows on the board, we give a shout and clap again, with the silent ghosts of those Wealden men. You cricketing men, both young and old, whether you bat or whether you bowl, ponder a while on all you owe to those Wealden men of long ago.
Okay, there was a traditional English cricketing song. I will see you chaps on Saturday evening UK time, Sunday morning Australian time, for our next Splendid Isolation stream. And if you didn't see it, do please watch the stream I did with Red Hawk earlier today on chatting up girls and keeping a girlfriend and turning her into a wife. It's a pretty good stream. Check it out. Go on.